Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is also a day where we can say either Moadim L'Simcha, which means intermediate days of joy for these really long holidays, or we can say Chag Sameach, Chag Kosher Sameach, or just any other variation of let there be a little bit of joy amongst us today. We start our service on Passover, on the Friday night of Passover, with a service of Yizkor, a service of memory. We take the three holidays, the Shalosh Regalim, the three pilgrimage holidays, times when the community, even as far back as 2,500 years ago, had this habit of coming together, of gathering everyone together. And in that moment, we see in that gathering that, of course, when we gather, we think of the times we've gathered before. And we think of the people who helped us and taught us how and why and when to gather. And so we begin with Yizkor. And I'd like to offer you a writing by Rabbi Jen Gubitz. The dining room table was simply resplendent, covered in her now off-white lace tablecloth. The oak wooden table stood sturdily atop the navy tuft pile carpet, though every year there were a few more shims added for leveling. On the soft carpet, slight impressions from hundreds of chair legs left indented memories of the past. In the corners of the dining room, white built-in cabinets displayed china dishes with tiny blue and white flowers, wine glasses of every size, a shelf reserved entirely for Shabbat candlesticks, and a rudimentary Hanukkah made of wood and bolts, the sole survivor of Sunday school, now coated in wax. The door was open to Elijah. At one end of the table sat his goblet full of wine, waiting for his visits, while across from it, Miriam's cup stood in prominence. The children, who were now adults, shot furtive glances at those cups. Would the wine disappear this year like it had when they had been children? As in every year, there was entirely too much food. They always cooked for 12, even now, when there were only 5 or 6 people who might turn up for Passover. In the foyer, a few table leaves leaned against a corner. "Honey, we don't need them this year," he suggested to his wife. "We should put them in, just in case," came the reply. "But Mom," their adult children echoed, "it's just the 6 of us, and the leaves are really heavy. It's not worth breaking our backs over." "Let's put them in, just in case," she replied, and so they compromised. This year, 1 leaf would be used. The other would stand in the corner of the room. "And Mom, we don't need the extra chairs either." In these moments, joyous holidays and family celebrations, it's in these moments that we most clearly remember them. In the smell of spices that are fragrant and the taste of sweet wine, the shadow of candles flickering. In each of these, we recall the days when they sat next to us. And sometimes, just sometimes, we can still feel their warmth. As we recall the story of the Jewish people, of our redemption from slavery in Egypt, we remember too the stories of our own families, the journeys and experiences that shaped us, the people and places, the faces that sat across from us, shared meals with us, shared the story with us for so many years. We can't help but want to set a place at the table, hoping that they will walk in the door even after they've departed. We can't help but want to hear their voices singing, to hear their laughing. We can't help but want to smell their perfume, to taste their cooking, to see their smile. Sometimes our memories feel like meager substitutes for the warm hugs we so long to experience. But we know we can find solace and comfort in the knowing that while they may be gone, our memories will endure with us. We turn to the sacred act of remembering with these prayers of Yizkor, of remembrance, a teaching by W.S. Merwin, Separation. Your absence has gone through me like thread through a needle. Everything I do is stitched with its color. What do you want to come read a bit of poetry for us? It's in English, Puppies by Mary Oliver. Either of our poets sitting in the front row, awkwardly gesturing towards each other?
One.
It's up there, yes.
Poppies. The poppies send up their orange flares, swaying in the wind. Their congregations are a levitation of bright dust, of thin and lacy leaves. There isn't a place in this world that doesn't, sooner or later, drown in the indigos of darkness. But now, for a while, the roughage shines like a miracle as it floats above everything with its yellow hair. Of course, nothing stops the cold, black curved blade from Of course, nothing stops the cold, black curved blade from hooking forward. Of course, loss is the great lesson. But I also say this, that light is an invitation to happiness, and that happiness, when it's done right, is a kind of holiness, palpable and redemptive. Inside the bright fields, touched by their rough and spongy gold, I am washed and washed in the river of earthly delight. And what are you going to do? What can you do about it? Deep blue night.
ייגמר לעולם החול והים רשרוש של המים ברק השמיים תפילת האדם החול והים רשרוש של המים ברק השמיים תפילת האדם. Oh Lord my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
As spring tiptoes slowly closer, we feel, even on the cold days, the change of the seasons. We feel the sunshine and we see the light at a different place. And we know that we are a part of something so much bigger than any of us. And yet we are so fully a part of it. And so Rabbi Jack Reamer and Rabbi Sylvan Kamens wrote, "We remember them," an opportunity for us to reflect on how the passage of time can in and of itself be a sacred invitation to memory. I will read the first part and we will join our voices together for "We remember them." In the rising of the sun and in its going down, in the blowing of the wind and the chill of winter, in the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, in the blueness of sky and the warmth of summer, in the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, in the beginning of the year and when it ends, when we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joys we yearn to share together. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. Psalm 23. as it accompanied people in times of darkness. So we say these words as we remember.
Ro'i lo echsar bin odeshe yar bitseni al me menuchot nahaleni nafshi yeshover nafshi yeshover.
Please join with me. With God as my shepherd, I shall not want. The Eternal makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside the still waters, restores my soul, guides me in straight paths for the sake of God's name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. We turn to the recitation of El Malei Rachamim. We're going to go back one more slide. Thank you. Our loved ones live in our broken hearts, and at times that brings some measure of healing. Their acts of kindness and generosity are the inheritance they leave behind. We feel their absence, but the beauty of their lives abides among us. As it is said, the name of one who has died shall not disappear. Our loved ones' names and their memories will endure among us. We say their names now in our hearts. We'll invite you to say them aloud here in our sanctuary as well if you'd like, knowing, of course, that so many of us are carrying so many names, the names of so many, and inviting us to say aloud or using the chat function of our technology, those who you'd like to remember today. I'll start over here. If there's somebody you're feeling the presence of, I invite you to raise your hand and say their name out loud.
My mom and dad. Rosie, Christina,
For all those named, for all whose love is felt here in this sanctuary, I invite you to rise for the recitation of El Malei Rachamim in body or in spirit.
El Malei Rachamim shochen b'maromim המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. אם קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע, מזהירים לנשמות יקירינו שהלכה לעולמם. בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר אמן.
Merciful God, God Most High, let there be perfect rest for the souls of our loved ones who have gone into eternity. May they find shelter in your presence among the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold them close to you forever. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May they find a home in you, and may they rest in peace. As together we say. We invite you to take a few moments before we transition to the words of Mourner's Kaddish, to find a place of memory here in this sanctuary, whether with the words on our screen or looking out a window at the lights reflecting at the water. We'll take a couple of minutes just for quiet remembering. Turning to the words of Mourner's Kaddish, words that for thousands of years have brought communities together to honor, to sustain, to remember. You would like to say your loved one's name aloud here in this sanctuary. We're going to let our voices overlap, just like they do in the traditional Kaddish when people's voices call one to another. So you can either say your loved ones, some of your loved ones' names here again in the sanctuary, in your heart, or just listen and support. I invite you to say their names aloud now. Become one with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chaye chon uvyome chon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be an abiding blessing. You may be seated. this week, Moses finds himself in a bit of a tight spot in our Torah reading. He has successfully convinced God to give the Israelites another chance, and has received from God some promises of the continuation of the relationship. But it seems like it's not as clean cut as it had been. There are sort of more limitations put into the situation. The fire of God is going to stay just outside the camp. And you can imagine that Moses, while there have been moments of incredible closeness and connection, is actually feeling somewhat insecure about going forward from the place where he finds himself. And so I think pretty understandably he begs for certainty. I love certainty. You all know this about me by now, but it just seems so relatable. Or at least that's what I understand Moses is asking for when Moses says to God, okay, but can I see your face? And God sort of says, that's it, that's the face, that's what God says right there. No, it's a no. But it's not a hard no, right? It's, I will make my goodness pass before you. I will proclaim before you the name of the Eternal, and the grace that I grant you and the compassion that I will show you will all pass before you. But you cannot see my face, for a person may not see me and live. And my question is, did Moses get what he was asking for? I think you could make the case in either direction. Probably in part having to do with how you answer the question, is that glass half full or half empty? But I find it fascinating that we read this very answer on the interim days of Passover, on the Shabbat that falls right in the middle of Passover. I think it's a little bit of a hint. See, we're in the midst of continuing celebrating the holiday of freedom. We're no longer at the crazed, you're cooking and hosting seders or going to seders, but you're just in the grind of it by the time you usually hit Shabbat, or at least I am at this point. Matzah mac and cheese has lost all appeal in my house. And yet, despite all evidence to the contrary, today's news cycle included, we are still on the march to freedom. We're still going. It's just a little bit harder to see it in the middle of it right now. And I was thinking of Moses, and I was thinking of some of the happiest people I know. I don't know if Moses is on that list. I don't know where that jump came from, quite honestly. But I was thinking of people who neither deny the hardship of their realities, nor minimize the good that they experience. There are people who manage to live in the balance of both. And I was thinking of what God offered Moses. That maybe it's the balance of both that allows us to keep going. That maybe the way we experience when we're asking for that divine presence, that thunderbolt or Sinai moment, is actually when we stop and we notice the goodness that is already in the world around us. And as we are moving together as a community from Yizkor to Shabbat, I think we're invited into that Moses-like way of being. invited to live like those happy people I know. To remember unabashedly who we miss. To let those tears be there when they need to be there. And to celebrate the joy we have. To turn to Shabbat with open hearts, held in community and connection, and to let ourselves sing. Turn to the Shabbat service this evening.
We are so delighted to ask Jacob Rasner and his family to come up to light our Shabbat candles for us. You'll find the blessing on page 1 in your prayer book or on your screen.
So you're going to reach in. Very good. I'll take it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlek ner lehadlek ner shel Shabbat. We turn to page 2, Ma Yafeh Hayom. What a beautiful day this is. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And let us turn to page 11. Lecha Dodi, come friends, let us greet this Shabbat, this cathedral in time, this sanctuary in time. Do stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we get to stanza 9, we will stand and face the doorway, welcoming in this presence of Shabbat. Lechandodi lekrakala yala 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 pnei Shabbat nekavela yala yala lechandodi lekrakala yala 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 pnei Shabbat nekavela oh shamor המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו לתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה יאללה, לך דודי לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, וראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דוד לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה יאללה, לך דודי לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בא אורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה יאללה, לך דודי, לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לך דודי, לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה יאללה, לך דודי, לך כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Standing, just as we rise to greet Shabbat, we stand in the presence of one who is entering the sanctuary for the first time after a loss. Beth Ann, we are so keenly aware of your presence in our community, in the way you have helped care for us in all of these months, and in the way that you cared for your sister, and how deeply you build communities of care around places and people you care about. And so we offer you these words as you re-enter into our sanctuary for the first time. They are words that have been said for thousands of years, offering our presence to you. Please join with me. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem Betoch Sha'ar Avlei Zion V'Yerushalayim. May God's presence comfort you among all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem.
Remain standing for the Chatzi Kaddish, and Jacob, we're so thrilled to have you come lead us tonight. Amen.
B'chayechon uvyom echod uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael bagala bagala uvizman kariv v'yimeru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya yitbarach.
Yitbarach
Yet Barak v'yet Par v'yet Ramam v'yet Noman v'yet Nosei v'yet Hadar v'yet Ale v'yet Ha'el Shemede Kudesha Brihu Le'ela min kor birata v'shirata Tushbehata v'nechemata Da'amiran ba'alma V'rimeru Amen.
And we turn to page 16, far right-hand column, right in the middle of that column, calling ourselves home, recognizing the light in our soul and the light that shines from each soul. Baruch Hu,
Dear one,
Shekinah,
holy name,
when I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Baruch Hu,
dear one,
Shekinah,
holy name,
when I call on the light of my soul, I come home.
Baruch Hu, dear one,
Shekinah,
holy name,
when I call on the light of my soul, I come home. The bottom of page 17. Remaining standing for the Shema, the interconnectedness between us all, the interdependence. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We continue with Ve'ahavta. Tonight we're going to do an English interpretation by Rabbi Yael Levy. Love with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. Place love upon your hearts. Teach love to your children. Speak from love in your home and as you walk on your way. Take love with you as you lie down and as you rise up. Carry love in your hands. Place love before your eyes. Inscribe love upon your gates. Listen deeply into the calls for connection. Love and serve the unfolding of all life with all your heart and soul. Be aware of your relationship with earth and all beings. Serve what is true. Place words upon your heart, upon your soul, in your hands and before your eyes that will help you remember to act for the well-being of earth, to act for the benefit of all life, to act so as to leave a bountiful and gracious land for those who will call you ancestor.
Amen.
And we continue with our Micha Mocha for this evening service, standing at the sea. Singing for freedom, standing at the sea. Micha Mocha, standing at the sea. Micha Mocha, standing at the sea. Micha Mocha, freedom's on our way. Singing and dancing, Micha Mocha, we're singing and dancing. Micha Mocha, singing and dancing. Micha Mocha, freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way. They're coming up behind, Micha Mocha, they're coming up behind. Micha Mocha, they're coming up behind. Micha Mocha, freedom's on our way. Bound no more, Micha Mocha, we're bound no more. Micha Mocha, bound no more. Micha Mocha, freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way. The sea she parts, Micha Mocha, the sea she parts. Micha Mocha, the sea she parts. Micha Mocha, freedom's on our way. Walking through the water, Micha Mocha, we're walking through the water. Micha Mocha, we're walking through the water. Micha Mocha, freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way. We're on the other side, Micha Mocha, we're on the other side. Micha Mocha, we're on the other side. Micha Mocha, freedom's on our way. One God, Micha Mocha, one God, nice. One God, Micha Mocha, freedom's on. All right, here's our last one. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way.
To the words that prepare us to enter into the Amidah. We'll sing the first 6 words together, and then we'll take time for a private, a silent Amidah this evening. As ever, we invite you to the places in this sanctuary that feel particularly like they're going to hold you in your prayers this evening. I invite you to rise, embody your spirit. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tivta. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Teilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tivta. Na 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 Ufi Yagid Teilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tivta. Na 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 Ufi Yagid
na 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 Swatai Tiftach na 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 Ufi Yagid Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Continue at the top of page 99. Words taken from Shir HaShirim, from Song of Songs, the scroll that we read that is associated with Pesach, Dodi Li, beautiful song of love. Dodi Li va'ani lo haro'eh b'shoshanim Dodi Li va'ani lo haro'eh b'shoshanim mizoktola min hamidbar mizoktola mekuteret mor ulevona Dodi Li va'ani lo haro'eh b'shoshanim Dodi Li va'ani lo haro'eh b'shoshanim libavtini achoti kala libavtini kala libavtini achoti kala libavtini kala Dodi Li va'ani lo haro'eh b'shoshanim Dodi Li va'ani lo haro'eh b'shoshanim Uri Safon uvo iteman uri Safon uvo iteman dodili va'ani lo haro'eh bat shoshanim dodili va'ani lo haro'eh bat shoshanim. We turn to page 130. Still in this time of the Amidah, asking for prayers of healing, that healing energy to flow to those who are in need. And as a community, we are praying for the healing of Pat Urich, continued prayers for Peter Feynman, Alina Clayman, Liliana Walheim-Martinez, for Arave Alexander, Diana Sanders, Riva Shapiro, Eileen Cantrov, Eileen Cantrov and Irene Brown, Karen Kaplan, Lynn Tilkin, Lynn Rakitansky, Molly and Cedric Capistani, Irene Del Greco, Rabbi Margaret Frisch-Klein, Brad Becker, Amaria Roberts, for Kaylee Cassis and Baby Zay, Alan and Joanne Travis, Sonal Starr, Joyce B., Andy A., Paul P., Gloria, Nancy Alpert, Ayelet Bat Chava Vaher Shmuel, Debbie Gilman, Neil Daniels Midman, Anya Kabel, Sue Boardman, Sarah Kianowski, Debbie Sachs-Buteau, for Stanley Roth, and for Kathy Nath. And if there are those you would like to say out loud, whose names you would like to say out loud, please raise your hand. It would be an honor to call on you.
Nessa and Margot.
All of these loved ones, all we are holding in our hearts. Let us chant these words, sing these words, these ancient words on the left-hand side of page 130. Please, God, heal them. Mi sheberach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel veLeah Hu Yevarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim Elna Rifana Elna Rifana Refana mi sheberach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel veLeah Hu Yevarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim. And turning to the bottom of page 31. The light of healing bless this world, bless all who live on this planet. Help us to make peace upon it. kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. May the one who makes peace above make peace descend on all of us, and Israel, let us say, all right, bring it down to a round. Oh, say, the one who makes peace above, make peace descend on all of us, and Israel. All right, switch your part. Oh, say shalom zimroma, kuya asa shalom aleinu, me'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. All right, one more switch. Oh, say shalom, peace above, make peace descend on all of us, and all of us at Yisrael. Let us say amen. Let us say amen. Let us say amen.
Well, now I don't want to move into the concluding prayers of the service. I just want to sing with all of you. But if we turn to page 42, the third paragraph down, the fourth line down. Let all this dwell in your hearts. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our Aleinu.
V'hashevotav el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, v'hashevotav el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, v'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo You can be seated. On the evenings that we do Yizkor, on our Shalosh Regalim, on Sukkot and Pesach, on Shavuot, and on Yom Kippur, we do Mourner's Kaddish twice in the service. And so we turn to page 44. And noting that we have those we are remembering in this time of Shloshim, these 30 days. So tonight we remember Eliza Stern Geyer. And the yortzites for tonight include Israel Samuel Sipperstein, beloved father of Linda Adler, Rhea Kaplan, Marcy's mother. So glad you're here tonight. It's the yortzeit of Ernest Cook, Melissa's beloved father, and of Larry Block, Andrea Block's father. This is his 10th yortzeit. It is also the 10th yortzeit of Toby Schwartzman's mother, Marlene Goldberg. And in the year of memory, we are remembering Erwin Lebo, Helen Fine. We are remembering Wynne Musgrave, Sue Papanek McHugh. We are remembering Bob Ruxin, Kay Ann Liss, Duffy Brodsky, Lois Lineal. And if there are names you would like to add, please raise your hand.
My father, Elliot Crancer, 12 on the legs, 50th son. And my mom, in 2 weeks, will be her third.
Glad you're here tonight, Josh.
Cheryl Doxer.
All of these loved ones, all those loved ones we have in our hearts, let us rise together, a community of memory, woven together with love and memory, reciting these ancient words together.
Gadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'zman kariv v'imru amin. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru amin. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And you may be seated. We would like to wish the biggest mazel tov to Jacob and his family who are here, his grandparents who are here, his brother, his mom and dad, and they have kindly, even on Passover, sponsored our own egg tonight. So there's some good mama downstairs. And so after we conclude with our final song, we'll head down to the oneg room for tradition motzi. And our concluding song tonight, just in case you didn't get enough of it at your seders, go down, Moses, let my people go. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. They worked so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. The Lord told Shalom, everyone. See you downstairs.